And for Friday, lots of sunshine, temperatures mainly in the 50s. It will be cooler at the coast. Forecast being brought to you by Needham Coin and Jewelry Buyers, located at 317 Chestnut Street in Needham. They're the most highly recommended place to sell your coins, jewelry, gold, silver, and historical items. Call 774-766-3050. That's my forecast. I'm Mark Rosenthal.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the
This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM, Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Jake Auchincloss are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
I was 24 when I had a stroke.
I was 35 when I suffered a heart attack.
I was 46.
I was 62.
It's a fact. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in women.
But we can fight against our number one killer.
Talk to your doctor about your risk factors.
Know your family history.
Learn the warning signs and symptoms.
Together,
let's
go red for women.
Visit goredforwomen.org to learn more.
As a busy mom, my to-do list is full.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
Visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint donor on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we've got a guide out this month titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. And really, Mike, we're talking about, a set of documents that someone needs in the event that something really bad happens to them. And one of the questions that family members and friends always ask is, who should I call if that happens? And this binder should have that information in it.
Yeah, it's designed to be that one-stop shopping of, hey, what do I go for? Any number of different things that could happen, right? I mean, it could be an accident that lands me in the hospital. It could, unfortunately, be my passing. But you want a consolidated place where loved ones can go to try and find, hey, what are my first points of contact that I should make?
What are those points of contact that should make their way into this binder?
Well, I think importantly, tax preparation, estate planning, and financial advice are three of the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head. The problem is who does that and how spread out it is varies dramatically person to person, right?
Sure.
If I have 5 different bank accounts for different things, that is going to be more complicated than if I have a single bank account at a single place and then an investment advisor that's overseeing all of the investments. But again, your results could vary.
Folks, the guide this month is titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder, and it has all this information and more in it to make sure that you are leaving a comprehensive guide for what happens if you're going through an emergency. Way to get this guide? Call 800-393-4001, or you can also request it at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Paul Lane. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Paul Lane.
Chuck, Paul, and Tucker with you kicking things off today, and top story is continues to be the situation in the Middle East and the prospects for, again, basically getting traffic back to normal through the Strait of Hormuz. The 2-week ceasefire that was, agreed upon 2 weeks ago was set to expire at around 8 p.m. Eastern yesterday. President Trump, about 4 hours in advance of that, announced that he was unilaterally extending the ceasefire indefinitely, citing the fact that he did not believe that there was a cohesive negotiating team from Iran that was in place to be able to secure any kind of deal. So I think ultimately, again, as we've talked about over the course of the last almost 2 months now, stop paying attention to what anyone is saying, because it just doesn't matter. You can't speak whatever you want into being, whether it's oil getting to one place, whether it's an end to hostilities, whatever it might be. It just doesn't work that way, and each side has their own reasons for saying what they are saying publicly. I've said all along, the more important thing is to pay attention to what is actually being done. And at this point, we still have basically very minimal traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz. And as such, you continue to see about 12 million barrels a day of production shut-ins across the region. We're getting to the point now where the stuff that, was more sporadic in terms of, the impacts that you're seeing, it's starting to become more pronounced, and it will in the coming weeks. And basically where I think you are right now, again, I've said since the beginning of this, look, Cinco de Mayo is the date on my calendar, not just to have a couple of margaritas, but that's the date at which, hey, if you don't have a resolution to the Strait of Hormuz situation by then, you really start to run into problems, because now you're not just impacting Q2 directly and acutely in terms of the energy shortage that's going to build worldwide. Now you're stretching out into Q3, and people start raising questions about, how long is this going to go? And that means that the market can't try to look through it the way it's been doing, but instead has to price this in as a more persistent shock. And that's going to be problematic given the fact that, we're starting to see impacts showing up around the world at this point.
Also concerning that you've had Iran seize 2 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and you, I believe, had the UK mentioning that a couple of their ships were attacked as well. So
less concerned about that.
Yeah, right. But still, the Strait in general, going from where we were on Friday, where the Strait was presumably open, to now the continued disruptions between any ships passing through there is a further concern that we're not really making a ton of progress here.
So basically, look, here's the deal. There is, at any particular point in time, if you want to get into just how you should think about the negotiating process, at any particular point in time, there is a deal that is available that can be signed. Whether it is one that is amenable to either side is going to be an open question based on what each side needs to be able to get out of this. Where I do think there's an interesting problem that that you're going to run into on this is, look, the Iranians don't really trust anyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
Quite honestly, they probably shouldn't. Last couple times that they were negotiating with the United States and or Israel attacked them.
Yep.
I'm not saying that this is good or bad. I'm just saying that this is. So the Iranians, if they are negotiating, I'm going to guess, Paul, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, they're going to want something in writing and maybe more than that. Something where it's, okay, go back to your country and have something signed by Congress, or go to the UN and have something signed by the UN. They're not just going to be okay, we believe you this time. No, they're probably a little bit skittish.
Mm-hmm.
The last time they were negotiating with us, the United States killed their leader. Put yourself in their shoes. You wouldn't just be sure, fine, whatever, whatever you say.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want something more ironclad. The problem that you have with getting something ironclad is that, number one, there's 2 problems. The first is the last time there was any kind of ironclad deal agreed to between the U.S. and Iran, it took 2 years to negotiate. The Iranians are notorious for just dragging their feet and prolonging things and dragging things out and, hey, wait, let's come back. Oh, we already negotiated this. Let's come back to it's just what they've proven to do over the last 15, 20 years. So number one, it's something that's slow. Time's kind of a problem right now because every day that you go by, the energy crisis is going
More
to
pronounced,
worsen worldwide. So that's part number one. Part 2 is, if we look at how the Trump administration has negotiated deals over the past 16 months, there's not much that's been in writing. It's been a lot of verbal handshake agreements with different countries to do X, Y, and Z. There's been very little in the way of papering things over. And so that could be problematic in terms of getting a deal done as well, just because there's, I think, a fundamental difference in terms of how the 2 sides may want to solve something there. As far as the actual issues at play, I don't have any idea what the actual sticking points are. What they're I see what's reported. I don't know if it's true or not, and I don't have any insight into it.
Oh no, yeah.
But the piece that you come back to is, look, at some point, in order to get a deal done, both sides are going to have to make some concessions there. They're simply just at the point now where they haven't gotten that done. So again, there's probably a deal that could be done right now if U.S. were to give up X and Iran were to give up Y. Clearly, they haven't gotten to that point yet where they're willing to do so. At some point, they're going to. The question is, how long does the clock tick? Because, again, Cinco de Mayo is coming. Tucker, I did a little bit of math over the... it took me overnight to do this. We've got 13 days until Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
I did the math. So, we're getting down to it, man, is the point. And for those of you who are Chuck, why does Cinco de Mayo matter? Aside from, the obvious, reasons, the reason why it matters is this. there aren't a whole bunch of ships just sitting outside of Hormuz right now waiting to pick up oil. Because if you are a tanker operator in the greatest environment to operate a tanker in history, because everyone wants to pay for them right now in order to get stuff from point A to point B, you don't just sit there empty outside of Hormuz being like, well, maybe we'll fill up in, a few weeks. No, like, you are busting that tanker to the United States just like everyone else right now, being like, yep, get us to the Gulf of Mexico, let's load up and get the thing off to Europe, Asia, wherever we got to get it to.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is that in order to get ships from, like, the southeast United States to Hormuz, it's like 40 days. So here's the problem that you run into. If there aren't a bunch of ships just sitting there waiting to get in, you're not just going to get Iraq and Kuwait and the Saudis and the UAE and Qatar just pumping oil again at the drop of a hat.
When they don't have tankers waiting outside to pick it up.
The storage is full. They can't do it. There's nowhere to put it right now.
Not to mention them restarting their production. That's not going to be an overnight thing either.
So you can't start production until you get the tankers back there, which means, okay, if Cinco de Mayo happens, those tankers aren't getting back there in mass until late June. But that's fine because, again, like late June, you can say, look, it's not perfect, it's not ideal, but fine, this was a Q2 story. Q3 and Q4 are going to be the story of, hey, supply is still constrained, but the supply constraints are easing.
Yeah.
And remember, the rate of change is what matters. It's not, hey, is supply tight? Is it supply getting better or worse? Better is good. If you get past Cinco de Mayo, now we're into, Mother's Day and then Memorial Day. Now this becomes a Q3 story where investors can't just look past a bad Q2 and be like, one-off because of the Middle East. Then it starts becoming, okay, now it's a couple quarters, and by the way, those problems are worsening and multiplying. And so this is why Cinco de Mayo is my day, baby. Like, that is the day that it matters. Because, did you guys see yesterday, Lufthansa, the German airline?
Yep.
20,000 flights canceled over
through
the next
October.
4 months.
Yeah.
It's 150 flights a day. Now, in the broad scheme of European air travel, it's not a ton. It's about 1% of, daily European air travel. But just wait until Air France gets involved. Wait until British Airways gets involved. Wait until, I don't know, who else flies in there?
Ryanair?
Ryanair. Wait until SAS gets involved. Like, you can go down the list. KLM. Like, all of these companies are sitting there, and if they start doing similar things, very quickly you end up in a place where Europe now has, 15 to 20% fewer flights than they did, last year. And again, this is just on the aviation side of things. It's not just going to affect passenger, flights. You better believe that DHL and FedEx and UPS are going to be impacted by this as well in terms of, hey, like, how are we going to pay for this? What do we do?
And yet we sit with a market that is up 8% month to date and continues to rally today, in which we should get into.
And I'm not here to say, like, everyone should be scared, because I've made the case for the last week. Look, if you want to believe that stocks were fairly valued at last year's multiples, we're still about 5% off last year's multiples. The S&P has a clear path to 7,700 if this clears up. So I'm just outlining all the cases where, hey, your bear case for markets in the economy, you got this ticking clock that problems are starting to show up and you need to start getting to a resolution in the next couple weeks. Your good case is, okay, if things, your bull case is, hey, if things, get cleared up, great, there's plenty of room for multiples to expand and earnings to still expand. Like, there is that there. But, again, we're getting down to it now. Let's take a quick break. When we return, let's talk a little bit about what is propelling this market. I touched on it briefly now, but let's talk more after this.
Market insight, retirement strategies, real talk about Wall Street and economic trends. All live every day on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/The Financial Exchange Show. This is The Financial Exchange. When it comes to leaving assets to your family, simplicity isn't always the best approach. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law, and their new guide is called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. Adding children as joint owners on accounts or property doesn't guarantee you can avoid probate. It may create serious unintended consequences. In this guide, you'll learn why leaving assets to your children may not always be the best plan. The guide also explains how trusts can be used to stagger distributions over time, help protect assets from creditors or divorce, and ensure your family receives your inheritance in a way that makes sense for your personal situation. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide, How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Organization can make a big difference when life takes an unexpected turn. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Having your most important information all in one place may help the people you trust handle critical financial or legal decisions if a crisis occurs. We've written a new guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. In it, we offer strategies that can help you coordinate the most vital details of your life, including key contacts, legal documents, and property information. Our goal is to provide you with a clear plan for the people you trust if they ever need to help manage a life-altering situation. Call 800-393-4001 right now and ask for your free guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive. Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. Every walker who joins HeartWalk means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative William Keating are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Text us at 617-362-1385 with your comments and questions about today's show, and let us know what you think about the stories we are covering. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
The Financial Exchange is incredibly proud to be a partner of the DAV Department of Massachusetts. Nearly 400 runners have already registered for this year's DAV 5K. The event sold out in record time last year, so head to dav5k.boston for all the information about how you can participate this November or make a donation to support our great American heroes. Your gifts help fund free rides to medical appointments for veterans in the nation's first DAV-led housing initiative, providing homes for single veterans and veteran families. Go to dav5k.boston and make your donation today. That's dav5k.boston.
Paul, so last segment we were talking about, hey, like this is why you need to get the Strait of Hormuz open, because if not, things start to get kind of gnarly, you know, in a couple weeks, and markets will have a hard time looking through it if they believe that to be something indefinite as opposed to something with a concrete, window that it's, happening during. So despite that, the question is, hey, like why have stocks gone up for the last couple weeks? And the answer is twofold. Number one, the market now wants to price in that this is a finite occurrence that is going to come to an end sooner rather than later. And second, if you look at the market in terms of valuation, it's gotten cheaper relative to last year because earnings estimates have gone up. It's not to say it's cheap historically,
right?
But it is to say that, hey, if you were a buyer of stocks, if you were a buyer of the S&P 500 at 22x forward earnings last year, why wouldn't you be a buyer of it at 20.9x forward earnings this year?
The thing that I am having so much trouble wrapping my mind around is that first part of your sentiment there that, hey, the market is pricing in that this is sort of a finite situation that is going to have an endpoint to it. And to go back to what the points you made in the first segment, to me, I can think of 4 or 5 different bullet points that you could list out that would indicate that this perhaps is going to take longer or will be hard pressed to be resolved within the next couple week time frame. And I just am confused as to why the market feels that even as we sort through each of these daily updates between what's going on between the U.S. and Iran, I'm not saying that I'm so pessimistic that I don't think anything can happen, but I do feel like if I was to put a probability chart together, I wouldn't go, oh, it's overwhelmingly 80% that we are going to get something done within the next few weeks. And it feels as if the market is pricing it in with that higher probability with the action that we've seen the last few weeks. And that's what, Chuck, I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around. And the Wall Street Journal does a good piece of sort of perhaps indicating that the sort of speculative risk-on environment is back, and you just have investors convinced that, hey, that Trump is going to, again, like what we saw last year with tariffs, make either policy decisions that allows for an agreement to be made, but you're dealing with two different parties here. And so that's why I have a harder time just putting stock into that.
Here's where I can get to, like, let's say that, here's where I can get to. Is it fair to say that in the last 2 weeks, I won't ask the question. I think it's fair to say in the last 2 weeks, despite each side, the Iranians and the U.S., saying, hey, you violated the terms of the ceasefire, no one's actually started launching stuff at each other again.
Right.
They haven't. Like
they haven't. The blockade, they haven't.
Again, the U.S. yesterday or whatever day it was disabled, a ship in the region. Iran responds by, disabling a couple ships in the region. But, they're not shooting at each other.
Right.
They're just they're shooting at neutral ships now. Like, hey, let's not shoot at each other. Let's just shoot at, all these people trying to pass through.
We are back.
But my point is, they're not shooting at each other. And I don't think there's really the appetite. Because generally, when you say, hey, the other side violated the ceasefire, a lot of times the next thing that happens is, fine, you violated it, great, we're attacking again. And that hasn't happened. So I don't think there's much appetite for conflict. So here's where I can get to. Is absent an appetite for additional conflict, which, again, might be true, might not. Who knows? I also see a whole bunch of U.S. cargo flights going into the region and stuff. I see another carrier group coming in. It's okay, I've kind of seen this story before, and it makes me a little bit nervous, but let's say that no one wants to engage in conflict anymore. Where we stand at this very moment is the absolute worst that, from a flow perspective, the energy and commodity crisis will be. Because every single day, countries and companies are saying, how do we source either additional product or change our input mix in order to get away from where the
reliance
squeeze is.
on the strait. Okay.
You've got, countries in Asia that are saying, great, we're not going to use as many nat gas plants, fire the coal ones and the nukes back up. You've got, countries saying, okay, our people need to work remotely. You've got countries that are saying, okay, we need to authorize. Mexico is yes, let's authorize more drilling in order to make things, easier and cleaner for us. So I look at all of this, and I think if you want to believe, even if Hormuz remains closed indefinitely, which I can't believe I'm even saying this because it's completely insane to think, let alone say in front of thousands of people. Mm-hmm. If Hormuz remains closed indefinitely, the supply picture is still going to look better 18 months from now than it does today, assuming no conflict, no further escalation in conflict. I'm not saying that that's good because where you still get to is even if this remains closed another month, now you're talking 1.5 billion barrels of oil that are just not being produced. And that means you're basically at tank bottoms in a lot of the world, as far as the world can't really operate once it loses that much oil. So, like, again, like you're getting to problematic points, but I don't know. I'm trying to look on the bright side. So there's that. Let's take a quick break. When we return, Wall Street Watch and Ask Todd.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Lori Trahan are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up.
Because we have something better.
Stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit goredforwomen.org today to learn more.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about your brand new guide, Todd, how to leave assets to your beneficiaries. Todd, how can you ensure that your kids' inheritance can be protected from future divorces?
Well, estate planning, as you know, does things like avoid probate, protect assets from nursing homes, and reduce taxes. But you know what? The family behind the estate plan can be more important. And so the trusts live on after you die, and you can have language in there that divides the assets to the children, but doesn't just pay it out, right? It holds it in trust for them and allows them to be trustee, but just not take it. In order to get it, they have an independent trustee that can say yes or no. And that way, by not owning the asset, if they get divorced down the line after you're dead, and the other side says, hey, I want half of what's in that trust, you're going to say, that's great, but you have to ask the independent trustee. So it's now not going to be available to you. And more than just the ability to say no, it's the fact that you don't own it. So if you don't own it, it's not a marital asset to begin with. So it should not be even subject to the divorce. So learning how your trust works after you die can oftentimes be more important than when you're living. And it does more for you after you die than when you're living sometimes.
The estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have been helping families like yours for more than 30 years, and they've written a brand new guide called How to Leave Assets to Your Beneficiaries. To get your free copy of this comprehensive guide that will help you determine the best way to leave assets to your family, simply call 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Markets well into positive territory after the U.S. indefinitely extended its ceasefire with Iran. Despite the uncertainty, investors are reacting favorably to a strong earnings season. Right now, the Dow is up 0.75%, S&P 500 up nearly 0.9%, NASDAQ rallying 1.2%, Russell 2000 up nearly 1%, 10-year Treasury yield flat at 4.286%, and oil up 2% higher, trading at $91 a barrel. Well, minutes ago, the Wall Street Journal reported that the Trump administration is nearing a rescue deal for Spirit Airlines. Under the agreement being discussed, the U.S. government would loan the embattled discount carrier as much as $500 million, receiving in return warrants to take a potential significant stake in Spirit. Again, this was breaking news as of minutes ago from the Wall Street Journal. Boeing posted smaller than expected loss in the first quarter as aircraft deliveries increased, while its defense and services units also showed improvement. Shares are up by 3%. Meanwhile, United Airlines stock is dropping 4% after it cut its 2026 earnings forecast as it continues to grapple with a surge in jet fuel prices. And Tesla will report earnings after today's closing bell. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch.
This is Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you have an existing estate plan or are in the market for one, Todd Lutzke is here to answer your questions and help you plan for later life. Ask Todd is presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 35 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Visit CushingDolan.com. Now, here's Todd Lutzke.
Todd Lutzke from Cushing & Dolan joins us now for Ask Todd. Phone lines are wide open for you to ask Todd your estate planning questions live on air right now. 888-205-2263 is the number. Again, it is 888-205-2263. That's the number to call to ask Todd your estate planning questions live on air. We usually get through 2, maybe 3 on a good day, so get calling early to make sure you get in line and we can get to your question. That phone number again is 888-205-2263. Mr. Lutzke, how you doing today?
I am never better. And you?
I'm okay.
Wow, that's good. So stop.
I did get pulled over yesterday.
Pulled over like by a police officer?
Yeah, they came by and said, do you know how fast you were going? And I said, well, I'm just trying to keep up with the traffic. And he looked around. He's like, well, there is no traffic. I go, I know. That's how far behind I am. So,
That's good.
It was fine. Todd, I want to talk to you a little bit about keeping assets in the family after you pass away. I know that obviously with, some basic estate planning, you can say, okay, I want things to go to my children when I pass.
Yeah.
Beyond that, let's say that a child predeceases you or a child gets divorced from their spouse. What other things can you do through estate planning to help ensure that assets remain in your family?
Yeah, I think, well, one quick answer is obviously don't leave them outright. If you leave any assets outright, and I don't want to make it sound like you can't. By the way, folks, everybody's family is different. Everybody's family understands that their dynamics are different. Level-headed kids, not level-headed kids, good with money, not good with money, drug addicts, addiction issues. It could be any number of things, right? But just understand, if the trust you prepare says, I divide everything equally to my children and pay it out to them, all bets are off. I think that's where we start with your question, Chuck, is that, if you do that, nothing wrong with it, no right or wrong answer here, but all bets are off. Once they're in the hands of the children, they can do whatever they want with it. They can spend it, they can save it, they can, it's included in their estate for estate tax purposes if they don't spend it. If they get divorced, it is going to be subject to the marriage, so 50% is going to be lost. I mean, it's subject to any other creditors. And it may never find its way to grandchildren if that's one of your wishes. You have to understand that once you put it in their hands. Again, all bets are off, but it gives them complete control. Not horrible, but not the way to go.
Talk to me a little bit about the way to go. Like, what is the way to go?
Yeah, so I think at a bare minimum, you should think about, the overall family. If your goal is to say, yeah, I'd like to take care of not only my children, but maybe even take care of my grandchildren, and I might want to do that in a way that doesn't disinherit my children. Like, you don't have to necessarily say, okay, I'm going to give, 20% to my grandchildren and only 80% to my children. What you can do, but somehow that doesn't fit well because you say, geez, I kind of took away from my kids, right? But if you don't want to do that, you can just set up shares equally for the children and the grandchildren at the same time. And if you have that set up, then you can have language in there that allows distributions to come out in the trustee's sole discretion for not only the child, but the child's children. So the grandchildren don't even have to wait until the parent, in this case the child, dies for it to get down to the grandchildren. So if they needed it for college or prep school or some kind of education issue, or you're taking a family vacation, you can make distributions out in the trustee's discretion to them. That does multiple things. It provides equally to the family without disinheriting kids at all. It allows grandchildren to participate sooner rather than later, and most importantly, it provides that if you haven't taken it, you don't own it, so it's not taxable when you die for estate tax purposes. Children, not the parents, children. And if you get divorced, you don't own it. So if you don't own it, it's not a marital asset. So it's actually protected from creditors. So lots of things to think about, not just divorces, but even tax planning is a good idea with sort of hanging on to stuff in a trust for kids.
Talking with Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan. Reminder, we still have room on the phone lines for your estate planning questions to Todd live on air. 888-205-2263 is the number. Again, that is 888-205-2263. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, it's going to be right to your questions with Todd. That number again is 888-205-2263.
Ask Todd with Todd Lutzke every Wednesday at 10:30, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Hi, this is Susan Powers from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When it comes to Social Security and Medicare, the decisions you make today can have a lasting impact on your retirement. There are key choices to consider, like when to claim, how spousal and survivor options work, and whether your Medicare coverage is aligned with your needs. And without a clear strategy, it's easy to overlook how taxes, income, and healthcare costs all connect. So join us for a complimentary educational seminar on Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. at the Crowne Plaza in Woburn. We'll help you understand your options and the decisions that come with them. That's Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. at the Crowne Plaza in Woburn. Reserve your seat today by calling 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001 or register online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Leaving assets to your family may sound simple, but you need the right plan. Cushing & Dolan's new guide is called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. Protect your assets and control your family's inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 and request your free guide today. That's 866-848-5699 or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Ayanna Pressley are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
Don't miss Ask Todd with Todd Lutzke every Wednesday at 10:30, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Still room on the phone lines for your questions for Todd Lutzke. 888-205-2263 is the number. Again, still room on the phone lines for your estate planning questions for Todd at 888-205-2263. Let's go to Phil on the Cape. Phil, what is your question for Todd?
Good morning, Todd. On an irrevocable trust, if you have one of your children as the trustee, do they automatically become the executor?
So the quick answer is no, but let me explain the difference, and maybe this will adjust your question. When people use the word trustee, so things have legal terms of art that mean things to us lawyers, right? So when I hear the word trustee, that means that person is in charge of the trust and what's in it. When I hear the word executor, which, by the way, nowadays the new word that used to be executor is now personal representative, just to be clear. A personal representative is the person who governs the will and the assets that go through probate. So they are completely mutually exclusive. And no, just because you appoint one person trustee does not mean you need to appoint that same person as personal representative on the will. Did that clear it up for you?
Yes, that does clear it up. And just one real quick last question.
Yeah.
Where would you find it when you build the trust? I mean, is it now not the executor? Is that something that I should go back to your office and have it rewritten, looked at?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question now. So are you asking me, what are you asking me? Who is the trustee on your trust?
Well, no, I know who that is.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the executor or the person of
Personal representative.
Personal, yeah.
So what you need to do for your I don't think you need to come in for that. If you've already signed all the documents, at least when we're done, we always send out this book with all the documents in it. There's a table of contents in the book along with a thumb drive. But if you have the book, just open it up and look on the table of contents. You'll see a list. The first two or first one is generally the irrevocable trust, and then the next one is the will. So just flip to that tab, look at the will, and when you look at the very first page of the will, and this is good for everybody if you're not sure who's serving on your will or who's serving as trustee on your trust, this is important. So look at the will on the very first page of the will. Actually, you won't see it on the first page. You're going to have to flip through the will probably to around paragraph 4. But there'll be a heading that says personal representative, or upon the death, upon my death, I appoint, and it'll have personal representative and a name there. So in your case, anyway, Phil, it's in bold capital letters, so you can't miss it. So flip through to like paragraph 4 of the will, and you'll see who's listed as personal representative. Now, if you are not happy with who you appointed as personal representative, then yes, you need to make a phone call to us and we can help you change that personal representative. It's perfectly changeable anytime you want. So good news on that front, folks. And I hope that helps a little bit on really what our these are good questions because they're regular operational day-to-day questions for people. And the same thing, Phil, I'll just expand on it a little bit. The irrevocable trust, when you see that, that's on page 1. Right at the very top, it lists who the trustee is. But like I said, if you're not happy with who the trustee is, even though it's an irrevocable trust, you, Phil, have retained the power to change, remove, and replace that trustee anytime you want. So you can change either the trustee or the personal representative on the will if you're not comfortable. So hopefully that's helpful a little bit. And folks, let me get to this. This is great. I'm glad Phil did the planning, but what we didn't talk about with Phil's situation is that this trust likely directs where his assets go when he dies. And that's really what this guide is all about this month, right? How to leave assets to beneficiaries. Well, I'm happy on the one front that he's avoiding probate, and since it's irrevocable, he's protecting assets from the nursing home. All of that is great stuff, but the family behind the estate plan. So then you read this document, and it could have all kinds of language in it as to how you get those assets to your family when you die. So many things to think about. What if you're getting a second? What if it's a second marriage for you? What if you have a special needs child? What if you're concerned about divorces of your children? Generation skipping tax planning. There's so many ways to leave the assets to the children, and you got to learn how to do that. So get this guide. It'll teach you how to leave your assets to your family. 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com. Again, 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com, and learn how to leave your assets to your family. And also, for more information, go to our Instagram page at Cushing Dolan PC.
Todd, last segment we were talking about kind of the additional work that someone can do in order to keep assets within a family after passing away. Have you seen instances where the level of control someone tries to exercise goes too far and it becomes just more of a mess for their heirs to deal with because they tried to do too much?
I think I know where you're going with this, and it's very true. So, like, I had somebody who came in just recently, and they were like, well, I'd like it to go to my significant other, but my significant other is a very good person, but not good with money. And so can I have that person be like trustee, but I don't want that person to have to ask permission for every little thing that needs to be done. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And, or they come in sometimes and they say, okay, well, I want it to go out, but I want it to go out for these reasons, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, that's it. Well, again, if you start listing things, so there's two issues. One, when you list things, if they're not there, then arguably it can't come out. So now it's too restrictive. So that might be one issue that you're trying to get at, Chuck, is that, geez, I wanted to provide for my family, but by listing items, trying to think of every little thing you need, you could actually be restricting an asset that might help a family member. So rather than do it that way, like we were talking earlier, Chuck, make it this sole discretionary distribution. Don't put items in. This way, no matter what comes up, the trustee and the trustee's discretion can say, yeah, that's a good idea. I want it to go out for this, not have to worry about it being too restrictive. And then you might say, well, Todd, what if that person is somebody who just likes to say no a lot? Well, now isn't it too restrictive anyway? Could be, but what you could do is you could give your children as beneficiaries of that trust the power to remove and replace that disinterested trustee. So the trustee can be a child who manages, invests, does everything. 99% of the job is done by the child or children, but they can't take it. The one thing the disinterested trustee does is exercises that sole discretion. Sounds good, sounds restrictive though. But Todd, if this person said no all the time, couldn't the beneficiary just remove that person and put somebody else on that's maybe more amenable? Yeah, exactly. So that's what we want. But when you give your kid that level of power, the great responsibility that comes with that power is, understand this. If you explain this to children after the parents die, and one kid says, yeah, I get it, I love it, best way to receive an inheritance ever, but the other kid says, I hate it, I want my money today. Well, if you've given the kid the right to remove and replace that trustee, I guess I explained to him, yeah, don't take it, it's not a good idea, but if I say no, you're gonna remove me.
They could put Ronald McDonald as the trustee and say, give me all the money, and I just
give it to him then. So, yes, you give them the power to take it. But again, how much power you give them is strictly up to you.
Todd, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
This has been Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Ask Todd with Todd Lutzke has been presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 30 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Call 800-393-4001 or visit CushingDolan.com. The views expressed in this segment are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Armstrong Advisory does not provide any legal or tax advice. Please consult with your legal or tax advisor on such matters. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Still more to come as we head towards hour 2, including a little bit more chatter about Apple and their new CEO. What's the landscape look like? What does it mean that they picked a hardware guy to be the leader? Also going to be talking a little bit about AI and then a little bit more on what's going on with airlines right now. And finally, a piece that we're going to have to get to is, where was it? There it is. There's a pasta sauce that wants to record your family. Should you let it? We'll discuss over some ziti after this.
When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint donor on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
One of the most helpful things you can do for your family is to make sure that important information about your life is organized and easy to find. Hi, this is Chuck Zodda from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Financial accounts, legal documents, and insurance policies are all part of a complete financial picture. When that information is scattered in different places, it can be difficult for loved ones to step in and help if a crisis occurs. Our new guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder will show you how to organize the most important details of your financial life, including key contacts, retirement plans, investment accounts, and insurance information. Call 800-393-4001 and ask for your free guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide by visiting ArmstrongAdvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive. Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. Every walker who joins HeartWalk means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative William Keating are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is the Money Matters Radio Network. WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM. Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Organization can make a big difference when life takes an unexpected turn. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Having your most important information all in one place may help the people you trust handle critical financial or legal decisions if a crisis occurs. We've written a new guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. In it, we offer strategies that can help you coordinate the most vital details of your life, including key contacts, legal documents, and property information. information. Our goal is to provide you with a clear plan for the people you trust if they ever need to help manage a life-altering situation. Call 800-393-4001 right now and ask for your free guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. We focus on the people returning from service, not their specific illness or injury. Our number one goal is to make sure our veterans have the necessary services they need, be it physical, emotional, or financial, so that their transition can be seamless. You can help our great American heroes as well by making a donation today by visiting dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange Quick Tip of the Day. And today we're talking about your brand new guide, Todd, How to Leave Assets to Your Beneficiaries. Todd, why can't you just add your kids to your accounts or to your house deed?
Well, you can. It's just not a good idea. So people who do that understand with an account, right, you can put a joint name on the account. Now, that doesn't actually complete the gift because you actually have to take the money out and then the gift is complete. But when you set it up, yeah, the asset would avoid probate. But if something happens to the child, it's going to be, available. Half the asset would be subject to the children's creditor. So you don't want that. And secondly, if you only put one kid on the deed, you've likely disinherited the other kids. So it's not really good planning overall. Whereas if you put the house in the kid's name, now you've actually made a completed gift of half the house and would need to file a gift tax return, number one. Number two, of course, it's exposed to the child's creditors and, yes, divorces. You could find yourself at some point owning half your house with an ex-in-law. Not sure that's a good way to plan. So please, put together trusts. Don't just throw names on deeds or on bank accounts because, as I always like to say, nothing good comes from giving assets away while you're living.
The estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have been helping families like yours for more than 30 years, and they've written a brand new guide called How to Leave Assets to Your Beneficiaries. To get your free copy of this comprehensive guide that will help you determine the best way to leave assets to your family, simply call 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Paul Lane. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Paul Lane.
Chuck, Paul, Tucker with you here today, and as we get things kicked off, we've got stocks rallying with the S&P 500 up 54 point-a-roonies as of this very particular moment, which, by the way, does put us back within sniffing distance of new all-time highs. Still not there today, but only about 0.25% to 0.5% off after a brief two-day pullback. again, it's not to say that this will continue up or fall apart. Like, I don't know. I have no idea exactly where stocks are going to go. But what I can tell you, the driver, the bid that is, really driving everything continues to be semiconductors right now. Semiconductor index up about 1.5% today. But all three major U.S. indices, the Dow's up, what do we got here? Hang on, there's a piece of dust here. It looked like, yeah, that's better. 388 points, about 0.75%. NASDAQ Composite up 1.25%, 334 points. So, again, broad green on the board with semis leading the way. When we take a look at other parts of the market, 10-year Treasury, not really doing much of anything today, down 0.4 of a basis point to 4.288%, so nothing exciting happening there. We've got the dollar index up 0.09% to 98.31. Again, not really worth getting out of bed for. Gold is up 33.20 an ounce to 47.52. And we've got crude oil up 2.58 a barrel on West Texas Intermediate to 92.25. AAA national average for gas prices holding steady at 4.02 even, down just 0.2 cents overnight. So continuing just to float in that low $4 range, and that's kind of where we've been for the last couple of weeks here. Those are the big things that are moving in markets, but big company making a big move earlier this week with Apple announcing a new CEO, John Ternus, who, again, anytime that you see one of these names come through, it's not like I know these people. So you go to Wikipedia and you find their bio. And the good news is that John Ternus has a Wikipedia bio, so that you can actually find this stuff out. Like, it
wasn't recently created.
No, it would have been bad if it were something where you're like, hey, like, this guy doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Like, how is he, becoming the CEO? But in fact, Ternus's page, let's see. I want to see how far back it goes, actually, on Wikipedia. Like, when did it... well, the last 500 revisions are through 2021. Oh, that's when... So it was made in 2021. So he's had a Wikipedia page for 5 years, and it meshes with the fact that back in 2021, he was promoted to be the senior vice president of hardware engineering for Apple. So he's a hardware guy. He had previously worked on displays for them. Then he was in charge of iPhone hardware for a while, Apple Watch hardware. So, like, he's worked, basically headed up hardware in a lot of these big projects. And what's interesting to me is you always think about, okay, when you're naming a CEO, what does it tell you about what the company thinks is important? Mm-hmm. When Boeing named their new CEO a couple, maybe 2 years ago now, it was, okay, it's someone from outside the Boeing ecosystem. There's not many companies that have the relevant experience, but yep, we're going to bring someone in. Was it Kelly Ortberg, I think
Kelly
it is?
Ortberg, yeah.
And we're going to bring someone else in because we need someone from outside to help reform the culture.
Yep.
When Tim Cook took over from Steve Jobs at Apple, it was, okay, Tim is the operations, the logistics guy, and so that's what, was being prioritized. And look, sure enough, I don't think anyone looks at the last 15 years of Apple and says, wow, they've innovated the way that Jobs did.
No, but the execution's been incredible.
It's been steady, and the execution's been great.
Yep.
So what's interesting to me about Apple naming a hardware guy, there are two places that are being left out. And look, just because you're naming a hardware guy doesn't mean these other things don't matter. But here's what I find interesting. Apple has been really working in the last couple of years on growing recurring services revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Software.
Yes.
But that's not what they're saying is necessarily the most important here. The other piece is Apple still the only big tech company that's not really doing anything interesting on the AI side of things, or even trying to really.
Yep.
And so I think the questions that are raised by Ternus, and these are not bad things, it's just, again, any CEO coming in would have certain questions about him. These just happen to be his. Okay, does this mean that there's going to be a, not pivot, but is the focus going to, gradually shift back to Apple being more of a hardware company versus the recent shift towards software and services? And likewise, hey, what does this say about Apple's AI ambitions? Is there any there? Or is that going to continue to be something where they say, no, this isn't really for us, and we're going to punt on it?
It seems like that would be the area that that has to be the biggest mission for his job from a strategic standpoint, is to try and make inroads within artificial intelligence, because the efforts have largely lagged. And in general, from an innovation perspective, certainly during Cook's tenure, you can point to several products that were great sort of ancillary products to the iPhone. He was there during the iPad, AirPods, and a couple others, the Apple Watch, that were extremely successful. But you can also point negatively to the Vision Pro not really taking mass adoption there. You also had the autonomous vehicle efforts that were just a disaster, really. A decade spent, billions of dollars that went nowhere. And now with Turnus taking over, you'd have to think that there's ambitions for some sort of hardware product within the artificial intelligence space. Now, they've had some brain drain with Johnny Ive going to OpenAI, who was the head designer from many of those stellar products that I just mentioned before. But it's really going to seem like, Chuck, that is going to be the focus. I would think that they would try and come out with some sort of hardware product that is going to heavily incorporate AI into their wearable devices. Like, that's been the wearable devices is what they've been working on. I feel like the integration of AI into that's probably where they're going with this.
Maybe. It just, here's the thing about AI. I've thought a lot about this over the last year or so. And I can't figure out any way that AI meaningfully improves an individual's life on the consumer side of things. Because, like, the way that consumers use it and the way that consumers almost will have to is basically as, like, if you're talking about, like, on current tech devices, it's basically as a replacement for a search engine.
Right.
You know,
right
like,
now, yes.
The stuff that's exciting with AI right now is all agentic AI, which is, okay, I want you, instead of just me asking you something, I want you to do something.
Book my hotel. Book the trip for me for the vacation next year.
Like, what does that really do? Like, if you're a person right now who, as an example, like, let's say that I'm me, which I am, okay, and I'm sitting at home watching the Bruins beat the Sabres last night. During the intermission, I pull open my phone and I say, I've got, an anniversary coming up in a little bit. Let me look for restaurant recommendations. Why do I need AI to go and do that and book something for me? Like, what's the cost to me of doing that? Like, is that saving me money? No. Is it saving me time? I guess, but I still have to sort through whatever the AI brings me, because what if it books something that, like, I don't like? And by the way to get AI to book something that, like, you do like and to do all this stuff, like, as an agent is to give it as much context as possible.
You got to give it a ton of data
and basically,
for it
like,
to know you,
like,
as well as possible.
Right, so, like...
But you're not there yet. Your profile is, mine isn't there.
No, so it's like, I guess where I'm at on the AI side of things, I see a bunch of places where it can make money on the enterprise side from streamlining and processes there. What if Apple is right in that, hey, for the consumer-facing, for personal use, what if there's not really any money to be made from AI because all people want to do is make puppies bobsledding or, ask it questions that you ask search engines, and it's just a more expensive search engine then?
On the monetization front, you could make the argument that it's the pivot away from the generic search engines. This is the new frontier, is just large language models, and you monetize that where every product recommendation that you're looking for going forward, you step further and further away from the Google search to look for a best toy for your 4-year-old son for his birthday. You just go there, and they've tried early attempts at monetizing that, but it's been a little choppy in terms of the user experience. Walmart, I think, pulled off of ChatGPT in terms of product listings there. But I agree with you right now. Looking at the landscape, it's hard to make too much of the argument on the consumer front. The argument that people who are pro-AI would say it's going to only get better and more powerful, and it's going to, once it's fed more data on you and your situation, that it will become more prolific at making those things easier. But right now it is hard to see how much of a jump that would make. On the enterprise side, we can really see it now. That's like, those concerns have really been put to bed when you look at Claude Code and a bunch of the other cybersecurity stuff, software stuff that's come out. But interesting pivot, or interesting time that Apple finds itself in a difficult putt we were saying yesterday on the show for Turnus to take over at this point in time. Cook has done a tremendous job, has been a great executor. The iPhone 17 did big numbers. They still are a company that's worth $4 trillion and does $400 billion of revenue a year. So they're in a great place, but people are always looking for the next thing.
And I got to say, like, people said the same thing when Cook took over because they were like, oh, like tough following Steve Jobs. And then I saw something yesterday, like someone was trying to poo-poo Cook being like, oh, like Apple's underperformed all these other tech companies and blah, 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 and this and that. And I'm like, here's the thing. Apple at its core and most of its revenue, it's still a hardware company.
Mm-hmm.
Apple's like the only company in the world that makes meaningful profit as a technology hardware company consistently.
Yeah.
Like, as a consumer technology, like, hardware company. Like, you look at anyone else who tries to get into those spaces, no one makes money selling smartphones. No one makes money selling tablets. No one makes money selling watches. Like, no one can figure out how to make
TVs,
money.
No TVs, none of the electronic stuff, yeah.
And Apple does. Like, they're just like, yep, we've got it down. And, you know, the people comparing them to, like, well, they haven't done as well as NVIDIA or... Guys, like, they're completely different companies. Like, NVIDIA doesn't make anything themselves. Like, they outsource all of the building. I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but Apple, it's like, okay, like, they actually do... Like, Apple makes its own silicon. Apple they have their own stuff that they actually build. And I think that anyone selling Tim Cook short is really missing the boat because it is one of the most competitive spaces, and they've kind of made it look easy for the last 15 years.
To do it for 15 years is the point to really emphasize. That's really friggin' hard in that space, in hardware, in tech, to do that. And yes, NVIDIA has been the darling of the markets for the last 4 to 5 years, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to replicate this for the next 10. We've seen time over time with chips that it is a competitive field, and it's hard to hold that place on the mantle.
Yeah.
And Apple deserves a ton of credit, or Tim Cook, for the last 15 years.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, we've got trivia, and then we're talking about Anthropic. Did their new model fall into the wrong hands? We'll discuss.
Smart financial talk whenever you want. Find the Financial Exchange on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and keep up to date on daily business news from New England and around the country. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Leaving assets to your family may sound simple, but you need the right plan. Cushing & Dolan's new guide is called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. Protect your assets and control your family's inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 and request your free guide today. That's 866-848-5699 or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Organization can make a big difference when life takes an unexpected turn. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Having your most important information all in one place may help the people you trust handle critical financial or legal decisions if a crisis occurs. We've written a new guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. In it, we offer strategies that can help you coordinate the most vital details of your life, including key contacts, legal documents, and property information. Our goal is to provide you with a clear plan for the people you trust if they ever need to help manage a life-altering situation. Call 800-393-4001 right now and ask for your free guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
It happens all over Massachusetts,
Can you tie my shoes?
in every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Stephen Lynch are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The Financial Exchange is now available every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Stay informed about the latest from Wall Street, fiscal policy, and breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Time for trivia here on the Financial Exchange, and today Jack Nicholson turned 89 years old. The legendary actor won the Academy Award for Best Actor twice and Best Supporting Actor once. Jack holds the record for most Academy Award nominations for a male actor. So our trivia question today: how many times has Jack Nicholson been nominated for an Academy Award? Once again, how many times has Jack Nicholson been nominated for an Academy Award? Be the third person today to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, and you'll win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the third correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
So, a couple weeks ago, Anthropic decided not to roll out their newest, most powerful model. It's called Mythos. I pronounce it Mythos just because there's a Greek beer by the name of Mythos that I like to think is what Anthropic named it after. They probably did because they made the model while they were drinking it. But here's the deal. It's supposed to be like this, crazy powerful model that they got nervous that it was going to cause all kind of cybersecurity problems. So they basically rolled it out to a small number of technology and financial institutions, basically saying, hey, go patch up your stuff, and once you've done so, maybe we can release this. And it turns out that according to a report from Bloomberg, a small group of unauthorized users have actually accessed this new model somehow, and pretty much what it seems like happened, I'm going to quote here just because it's kind of wild. The users relied on a mix of tactics to get into Mythos. These included using access the person had as a worker at a third-party contractor for Anthropic, and trying to find commonly used internet sleuthing tools that are often employed by cybersecurity researchers as well. The users are part of a private Discord channel that focuses on hunting for information about unreleased models, including by using bots to scour for details that Anthropic and others have posted on unsecured websites such as GitHub. So, again, if it was really Anthropic's goal to not let this model be used by anyone, man, it sure seems like they didn't use the model to prevent someone from gaining access to it through, ways that it was still publicly accessible. Because if the model's really that good, don't you just say, hey, Mythos, go look on the internet for any way that someone could accidentally access you?
Sure.
I'm just like, hypothesizing here, but apparently, like, some unauthorized parties gained access to it. It's unclear if they still have access to it or have been able to do anything. But yeah,
this whole world, I kind of wish I was more tuned into it and could keep up with the sentiment that paragraph that you just had there, where it was like a Discord channel hunting for information about unreleased models, using bots to scour details, and on unsecured websites such as GitHub. Like, it is just so beyond my level of expertise. I try to keep up with this stuff, but you can't. You absolutely can't. And I just wish I could have like a little very easy to understand documentary or a quick, short on what these guys or gals are capable of doing to get into these models. It's incredible.
You also, I'm at the point now where, and granted, I read a piece on this earlier this week, which has influenced my thinking. The average person shouldn't be trying to keep up with what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to be cutting edge for what's happening with AI. You just don't. And people say, like, well, I need to for my job. Like, I'm going to... No. Like, if you are thinking you need to be, your job's already lost. Sorry. Like it's just how it is. What I'm saying is the jobs that will matter and be important in the future are not going to be based on who's the best AI prompter and stuff like that. It's a losing race. You're not going to win that because there's someone out there that's better than you.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying, and there's a piece that influenced me on this. The companies that made the best use of the internet weren't the ones that tried to build the best internet. They weren't the ones that like learned how to build the best web page. I mean, like, again, they're just not. Let's hold that thought for a second, take a break, and when we come back, discuss more about what it means to try to use AI the best.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Lori Trahan are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Is it a stroke? Even if you're not sure, act fast and call 911. Signs can include face drooping on one side, arm weakness, speech difficulty, or not making sense when talking. Time is critical. A stroke requires immediate medical care, which starts as soon as the ambulance arrives. So if you see any sign of stroke, act fast and call 911. Visit mass.gov/stroke, sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint donor on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we have a guide available this month titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. Mike, when we talk about the type of information that should be in there, what kinds of things should people be including so that a loved one or family member can help to keep their finances in order?
Yeah, I think, on the financial side, it's what do I have and where is it?
And how do I get access to it?
Right, and so that can mean getting access to online passwords and things along those lines, but obviously how you share this stuff is extremely sensitive given the threat to being breached down the road. And so mainly it is, though, what is the snapshot of my financial, health, and legal life, and how do I format it in a way that people can actually interpret it?
And I think another piece there is that is also always changing. How do I let people know what changes I've made and when I've made updates to it? Because I might not have the same accounts that I used to.
Right, and the guide does lay that out of, hey, how do I document changes in here? Because you might not always have that old account at said financial institution. It could change, it could shift, you might retire, and keeping this thing up to date is critical. Obviously, the more stuff there is out there, the more complicated this becomes. And so as much of it as you can check off the list while you're still around and able to explain it is extremely helpful.
The guide, again, is titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder, and there are two ways that you can request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second is by going to ArmstrongAdvisory.com. That phone number again is 800-393-4001, or visit ArmstrongAdvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
All markets are well into positive territory after the U.S. indefinitely extended its ceasefire with Iran. Despite the uncertainty with Iran, investors are reacting favorably to a strong earnings season to this point. Right now, the Dow is up over 0.8%, S&P 500 up over 0.8% as well. Tech-heavy NASDAQ up 1.3%. Russell 2000 up about 0.5%. 10-year Treasury yield flat at 4.288%. And oil up nearly 3% higher, trading at $92 a barrel. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Trump administration is nearing a rescue deal for Spirit Airlines. Under the agreement, the U.S. government would loan the embattled discount carrier as much as $500 million, receiving in return warrants to take a potential significant stake in Spirit. Meanwhile, Boeing posted a smaller than expected loss in the first quarter as aircraft deliveries increased, while its defense and services units also showed improvements. That stock is up by 4%. Meanwhile, United Airlines dropping 6% after it cut its 2026 earnings forecast as it continues to grapple with a surge in jet fuel prices. Elsewhere, Best Buy announced this morning that 27-year company veteran Jason Bonfig will succeed Corey Berry as CEO on October 31st. Best Buy shares down by 4%, and Tesla will report earnings after today's closing bell. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And in the previous segment, we asked you the trivia question: how many times has Jack Nicholson been nominated for an Academy Award? Well, that'll be 12 times. And Scott from Dover, New Hampshire is our winner today, taking home the Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Congrats to Scott. We play trivia every day here on the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
So I want to dig in more on this AI topic that we were talking about in the last segment. And my statement was, look, like, you don't need to become an AI expert right now because, quite honestly, it's evolving so quickly that you're just not going to be able to in most cases. And I saw this piece earlier this week that I thought was relevant here. And it's from the, look, everyone's got a blog right now. I don't know if they're any good. This one's called Educated Guess. Maybe it's fun, maybe it's not. I don't know. You guys can check it out if you want.
Take an educated guess.
Exactly. But it talks about the scene in Alice in Wonderland where, Alice says, she meets the Red Queen and she's like, hey, in our country, you generally get somewhere else if you run really fast, for a long time. And the Queen says to her, well, look, when you're here, you've got to run twice as fast just to stay in the same place. And it's basically how everyone feels relating to AI right now. Like, you talk to people that are actually involved in trying to do stuff with AI, and they're like, I'm working so hard, but I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And my point is that you don't really need to, and it's the point that this piece makes as well, which is, look, back in the early 2000s, you had all these companies that tried to optimize their websites. Mm-hmm. And they wanted them to look perfect and be perfect and this and that and everything. And the people that actually ended up winning the e-commerce battle, well, it was Amazon, and they have still today, like, the ugliest website possible. Like, you go on it, and it's just, like, a mess of stuff being thrown at you in no particular order. There's a giant, like, menu. Like, it's, if you look up good web design, it basically says do the opposite of what Amazon did. But the point that this piece made is, look, Amazon didn't attract all of the commerce that it did by building the most beautiful website that's so user-friendly. They built it by building just this massive flywheel on the back end that could get you the stuff that you wanted really early. They're a logistics company dressed up as a tech company.
Right.
Like, that's what they do better than anyone else.
And they leverage the exploding popularity of the internet, and they saw the trend of the usage and then pivot and then put a business model together that would leverage that just continued growth of internet usage over time.
But they didn't win because they had the best website. They won because people realized, hey, I can order anything from Amazon, and it'll get there in 2 days if I have Prime. Now it'll get there like in 6 hours if you have Prime or whatever it is. And so the point that this piece makes is, look, if you're trying to, like, optimize for building the best agent or this and that or the best workflow, you're missing the point. The point is you're heading towards a world now. What the internet did was it allowed information to be commoditized. Mm-hmm. The cost of either receiving or sending information went down dramatically.
Right.
What we're now heading towards with AI, and look, you can debate this if you want, but again, I'd urge you to not. We're heading towards a world where intelligence is going to be commoditized.
Yeah.
Not information, but intelligence. Like, what do I do with information? And people will be like, well, like, AI told me to eat a rock. And I'm like, yeah, like, first of all, that was 2 years ago. And second, like, all those models are getting better every day. And if you haven't used any of the new ones and seen what they can do, go eat a rock. Like, it's just kind of how it is. So my point is, if intelligence is going to be commoditized, or at least devalued somewhat, then what does that allow you to do, and what's the flywheel that you need to be building for your business, not spending your time on, what do I do with AI today? Because that's the wrong answer. The question is, when intelligence is commoditized, what am I building to take advantage of that? I don't know. If I did, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd already have several $1 billion.
Yeah,
so
me in a deep thought process.
Yeah,
How can I figure this out?
I'm not the genius. You know what my big idea was last week?
What?
And I'm giving this away just because I'm not gonna I'll never make anything of it on my own. My wife has gotten into mahjong recently.
Oh yeah, that's exploded.
It's
in
gotten
popularity.
big.
Yep.
But here's the thing: as men, don't you feel the world of mahjong is a little bit intimidating and maybe a little bit too feminine for you to get into?
Yes.
I bring you Manjong. Mahjong sets for men.
Okay.
So that they've got airplanes and dinosaurs and stuff like that on them instead of, just like whatever else is on them normally. So, again, someone can take it and run with it if you're listening. Like, here you go. Like, have fun. But I thought that's my big idea, and that's why I'm not a billionaire, because my big idea is Manjong, not what do I do with, commoditized intelligence.
It reminds me of the Curb episode where Larry has his inventions. The one is a telescope that comes through the top of your car so you can see traffic ahead, and then the other one he had was the pool stick cue approach to skis so that you didn't have to lug around just one piece of ski, that you'd be able to screw them together. I think John is right up in the pantheon with those two.
If you do want my AI idea, I've said this one before. It's an AI agent that you can use to call all of your subscription services and negotiate the rate without you having to do so.
Calling the 800 numbers, that would be great.
Like, navigate the 800 number. Like, that's a place where I'm like, okay, I really don't have the patience to sit on hold. And, even not even to sitting on hold, but now I've got to talk to someone for half an hour about my problem, and then they send me to the next department, and I got to explain to them the same problem I already explained.
Right.
And then I got to write a letter to the vice president. And, like, by the time I'm done, I'm like, okay, I don't even want the money anymore. Like, just take it. Like, I can't do it anymore. That would be a great AI agent, is someone who can negotiate and handle customer service for me. Sure, would love that. Like, if you think that's something that you can build, have at it. I can't do it. But in any case, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got a little bit of stack roulette. I also want to talk a little bit about retirement right after this.
Follow the Financial Exchange Show on Instagram and see what's driving the conversation about Wall Street and economic trends. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Hi, this is Susan Powers from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When it comes to Social Security and Medicare, the decisions you make today can have a lasting impact on your retirement. There are key choices to consider, like when to claim, how spousal and survivor options work, and whether your Medicare coverage is aligned with your needs. And without a clear strategy, it's easy to overlook how taxes, income, and healthcare costs all connect. So join us for a complimentary educational seminar on Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. at the Crown Plaza in Woburn. We'll help you understand your options and the decisions that come with them. That's Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. at the Crown Plaza in Woburn. Reserve your seat today by calling 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001 or register online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. When it comes to leaving assets to your family, simplicity isn't always the best approach. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law, and their new guide is called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. Adding children as joint owners on accounts or property doesn't guarantee you can avoid probate. It may create serious unintended consequences. In this guide, you'll learn why leaving assets to your children may not always be the best plan. The guide also explains how trusts can be used to stagger distributions over time, help protect assets from creditors or divorce, and ensure your family receives your inheritance in a way that makes sense for your personal situation. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide, How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, the grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Mark collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Get real-time financial insight as news breaks. The Financial Exchange is live on X. Watch the show and follow us for the most up-to-date business news you need to know. This is the Financial Exchange.
Paul, we got a piece here in Barron's. It's titled "Confidence in a Comfortable Retirement is Faltering. Making a Plan Can Help."
Yeah, Chuck, what we're seeing from recent polling is that compared to last year, workers' confidence has sunk, that they are ready to retire comfortably, down about 6 percentage points to 61%. We previously were at a level in 2021 in this particular survey where it was much higher, but that number has decreased over the course of the last 5 or 6 years or so. And big culprits behind that are the concerns regarding healthcare costs and, of course, Social Security as well. They tie into this piece on just the amount of inflation assessed to healthcare costs and the concerns that people who are approaching retirement, that presumably are going to be in retirement for a long period of time as life expectancies continue to increase. Rising health costs are something that really concerns a lot of people planning for retirement. And of course, you have the Social Security piece where the trust is supposed to be depleted by 2033. How they incorporate that within their financial plan is having a lot of people concerned. And in particular, they also hit on this idea of having a magic number. You know, what is the amount that I need to retire? A Northwestern Mutual survey said that number is about $1.5 million. What we've learned in working with clients is that, that number is different for everyone. I've had that question posed to me before. I'm sure you have too. What's the magic number? What do I need, Chuck, to retire? And first of all, that $1.5 million we know is a moving target. If you have the money invested, it's always going to be flowing up and down. And secondly, a lot of people have different lifestyles. And so you have to take all that into account when planning for retirement.
Folks, if you've got questions about your retirement, specifically Social Security and medical costs, which is one of the big things that Paul mentioned there, the Armstrong Advisory Group is having an event on April 30th, so it's a week from tomorrow, and it's going to be at the Crown Plaza in Woburn, and it specifically is a retirement planning seminar focusing on Social Security and Medicare essentials. And it's going to be happening from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., and it's really easy to sign up for it. You can go to armstrongadvisory.com/events and sign up for it there. You can email contact@armstrongadvisory.com, or you can call 800-393-4001. There is still some space. Again, it's limited, but there is still some space available. So again, that is going to be on April 30th, which is next Thursday. It's a retirement planning seminar on Social Security and Medicare essentials. And it's at 5 p.m. at the Crown Plaza in Woburn. Again, you can call 800-393-4001 to sign up for it, or go to armstrongadvisory.com/events.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Paul, you want to talk a little pasta with me?
I was going to go in this direction as well. Let's get into it. As the resident Italian, you can kick it off.
All right. So here's the deal. You got Prego, who's a sauce brand. They make sauces for pastas. They're coming out with this thing. It's called the Connection Keeper. And it's supposed to look like a big, oversized pasta jar lid. And basically what it does is you have your conversations at dinner. Hey, did you remember your homework? No, but I got the milk. That's what you're going to say. And it's going to record them so that then you can go and relive those conversations in the future as memories.
Yes, let's put a recording device at an Italian dinner table.
Because that works
they'll be so comfortable with that.
Now,
The Sopranos would love that. Yeah.
here's the thing. It's not uploading anything to the cloud, Tucker. Okay?
It's all
not.
localized.
It's all local, but you can move it through a USB-C cable, which I'm told is the greatest USB cable there is. You can upload it to a computer then, and then you can access it as the uploader. No one else can upload it. It's just you. But you could, if you wanted to, you could somehow have them archived with the Library of Congress so that future senators can listen to your dinner table conversations when they are reading. If you're interested in that kind of thing.
Why would you want to go back and listen to dinner conversations?
Hey, why wouldn't you?
I would never in a million years go back and be like, what did I say on April 22nd, 2026? Let's go back and look at the dinner table conversation.
Particularly as parents to young children now, I really think that we're going to want to avoid hearing back our old conversations.
And if you wanted to record it, there's this thing called an iPhone that you have a microphone on that you can hit record. Not a jar
does
of
it have a
pasta
USB cable?
sauce.
It does not have you have to bring your own USB cable. They're in short supply right now, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're clearly expecting a tremendous amount of demand for these. They're going to make a whopping 100 of them.
100 of them? It's a collector's item.
You can get them for a whopping $20 starting on April 27th.
And they'll even throw in a jar of tomato sauce, it looks like.
And a jar of Prego, too. For what a deal. What a steal.
It also comes with a deck of cards featuring a conversation prompt and ideas. Because let me tell you, those conversations are going to be scintillating if you need cards to tell you what to say.
I mean,
holy cow.
This is one of the top headlines we've ever covered. This is wild.
Oh, we got to shelve this for the end of the Festivus. Got to shelve that for Festivus.
Well, I mean,
a recording device.
And also a hat tip to Chuck for doing that accent for minutes on end. I enjoyed it.
Is anyone doing an accent? I don't think so. This is not a joke. It is.
No, this is real.
This is a real thing. I mean, this would be like if Taco Bell came out with like the memory burrito. And you're like, do I eat it or do I talk into it? Like, what do I don't know. This. Look, don't get me wrong.
I mean, the one thing that is attractive is it doesn't upload to the internet. Like, okay. Again, why would I want to go back and play this?
So what am I going to do? Like,
what am I going to do with it?
Here's the thing. I think a lot of times we very easily see the physical clutter in our house, right? You walk into a room and you're like,
every day.
You're oh man.
Instant anxiety.
So sick of cleaning up that toy room for the 100th.
No, not even that. Like the stuff that's just sitting in your house that doesn't get used anymore. It's like, man, there's
toys.
There's a box that's been there's a box that's been sitting in that closet since I moved 4 years ago.
Right.
I haven't opened it.
But I need it.
I brought it here, so I must have something interesting in there, because otherwise I would have gotten rid of it.
I can think of 4 boxes off the top of my head that have been sitting there for a year, and no one's doing anything.
I have one box in every closet of my house that's just there, and it's like, okay, like this. We brought it with us after throwing a bunch of stuff out from our old place.
Just get rid of it.
But I haven't opened it in 4 years. Can we just get rid of it and call it a day?
You never know if you're going to need something from that
And here's
box.
the thing. We notice the physical clutter, and we just say, it's fine. Digital clutter, in my opinion, is worse. We hold on to, like, this is just, okay, it doesn't take up space, but it's just like, well, why do you need that conversation from April 22nd, 2026? Was that when you invented the flux capacitor? You know, like...
And you wouldn't even remember the day.
You want to know what we did at my dinner table last night? My kids were singing songs for 20 minutes, and my wife and I just kind of sat there and listened to it.
And you probably recorded it on your phone.
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, you could have.
Performance wasn't good enough.
It's fine. We're going to get another one today, and that's great. Like, these are great things, but you don't get the same feeling from reliving it. I'm sorry, but you don't. And the sequel is never as good as the first one. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to pass on this one. So if any of you are listening...
Oh, you're going to pass on the pasta sauce recorder?
Tucker, it was a hard conversation we had to have here. But ultimately...
Good for you. You got to pass on
ultimately, I had to do what was right for the family. Let's take a quick break for the rest of the day. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Financial Exchange.